thanks for joining me to color. Today we're going to be working on this adorable Whimsy Stamps image called Autumn Happiness. Isn't he cute? I love him. I will put a link down in the description box of the card kit and all the supplies I used. I would love for you to come shopping with me. If you have a question, leave me a comment and I'll make sure to get back to you. Also, if you'd like to see how I colored this little bunch of stuff here, wait to the end of the video and I will demonstrate that. Otherwise, I have already stamped my image on Nina 80-pound Solarite cardstock with Memento Tuxedo Black ink, so let's color. Alright, so let's start out by giving our little guy a background. For that, we're going to use B quadruple zero, triple zero, and my colorless blender. And I'm going to start with my B quadruple zero. And I'm going to use that to, let's start down here underneath these cute little berries. And I'm just going to brush my pen out away from that, from my image. I'll get up here around my berry here. I'm going to paint those red, so I definitely want to do those first. And we just want to go all the way around to the other side. Here, and we want to flick out this cute little leaf up here, but I'm going to go up here a little bit, past that little swirl. And then we just want to brush out this way. And then up here for the top of his head, I want to go ahead and get this little curly cue. Go around his hair. Or his spike, I guess that maybe that's a spike. Get some of those little spaces in there. And let's go down here underneath of his little wing. Looks like somebody took a bite out of it. Poor little guy. I'm not worried that it looks kind of streaky because when I get done, I'm going to use my colorless blender to blend over the top of it, and that will smush all those little streaky lines out. Okay, so we got our light coat in. Now I'm going to take my B triple zero, and I just want to add that a little bit where I want it to be darker, so like over here underneath of his tail. And I'm still going to flick away from it just a little bit. So it's not just a solid line, it's kind of got a little bit of feathering at the end. And let's do a little dab here underneath of his chin. And a little bit for his arm, and then under these berries. And then I'm going to take my colorless blender, and I'm just going to put my pen down on top of my image, and I'm going to sweep out past all that blue. And this will work best if your pen is wet, not drying up. We'll do this side. And down to the bottom. Got a few little streaks there, so I'm going to go over that a second time. Let's do the dragon's body next. For that, we're going to use YG 97, 95, 93, and 91. And let's start with our YG 97. And I'm going to use that right along the edge of his tail. Well, he's got a little right along here. And I'm going to bring it down. And around over this way. this up and around this little stem here. And I'm going to come up here underneath of his arm. And let's go ahead. I got my little swoop going here, so let's bring that across and fill that in. Then I'm going to grab YG95. And we want to soften that line, so let's start over here at the end of his tail. I'm going to go up a little bit, and then I'm just going to flick up and away from his tail. And I'm going to give it a second coat, so I'm not worried that it's not blending. Then we're going to add YG93. And let's bring a little bit here behind his arm. Then I'm going to grab YG91. I'm going to try to leave just a little bit of white there because I'm going to go over it with my second coat. And so I want to have a little bit of a light space there at the top. Then I'm going to grab YG97, and we're going to give it our second coat. And then we'll do YG95. YG93. Bring it behind his arm there. And then we'll add our YG91. Turn my little guy here so I don't color his wing or his spikes. Go right next to that edge. And then I want to take that and smooth down through all of this. This way I don't have to get quite so close to that edge and color on his little spikes there. And I think I'm going to do, let's do YG95 again. I'm not liking this little line that's right here. And then we'll do YG93. And then our YG91. Okay, I'm liking that better. All right, so let's go over here for his arm. So I'm going to grab YG95. And I'm going to do a little dab of that over here on this other side. And then I want to go down the back of his arm, or the bottom of his arm. And I'm going to do a little bit right here on his neck. Then I'm going to do YG93. And then YG91. And again, I'm going to do a second coat, so I'm not going to go all the way to the edge. And then we're going to start over with YG95. YG93. And YG91. Then for this little puff here right in the center right here, we're going to go with YG93. And I'm going to come down from his mouth. And then we're going to do a little bit coming up from the bottom. And then we're going to fill it in with YG91. And we'll hop up here and do his head. So I'm going to grab YG97. And let's see, let's do a little bit of that right here in his ear. And then this ear. And then I want to come down the back of his head. Up a little bit. And he's got a little thing right here in his nose. I'm going to give that a little dab of color. And on his eye dot right here. And same for this side. And then we're going to grab YG95. And let's see, let's do a little bit coming down away from his nose right here. And let's do the bottom of his mouth. And he's got a little cheek over here, so I'm going to color a little bit on that. Go away from this little dot in his eye. Then I'm going to, whoops, let's do a little bit right here in front of this little hair right here. little wrinkle there. Then I'm going to grab YG93. He's got a little bit of his mouth showing on this side, so I'm going to color that in. Then I'm going to grab YG93 or YG91. And I'm going to give it a second coat, so I'm not going to fill it all the way in. Okay, then let's go with YG97. And YG95. YG93. And YG91. I forgot his little top of his wing here, so let's grab YG97. Whoops, I'm sorry. And we'll do a little dab of that, coming away from his body. I just noticed it when I got out my new color, the colors for the next section. So we'll do that one, and then YG95. And then we're going to fill it in with our YG93. There we go, get the top of his wing there. All right, so for his spikes on his back and the inside of his wing and his tummy, we're going to use YR 27, 24, 23, 21, and then Y35. We're going to start with our YR 27. And let's do his tummy first. So we're not going to do anything too fancy. I'm going to just come around his foot here. And I'm going to swipe out this way. And let's see, maybe do a little dab right here in the crease of this leaf. Then I'm going to add YR 24. YR 23. YR 21. And then I want to go over the entire thing with my Y35. Okay, how about his little wing right here next? So let's go with YR 27. And I'm just going to do that right underneath the edge of his wing. And then we'll add YR 24. YR 23. YR 21. I can see I'm going to need to scrub this one a little bit. It's feeling kind of crusty and it's getting a little waxy buildup here on the end of the pin. So I'm going to put a little bit of my blender, or my colorless blender, in a little zippy bag and dip it in there and wash it off and then refill it. Now we're going to go over that with Y35. That'll make it work a lot less gummy without having to replace the nib. Kind of clean all the waxy buildup and gunk off of it. Okay, so now we got all these spikes, so let's do YR 27 again. And I'm going to start right here underneath where these two are showing the bottom. And then I'm just going to brush away from the top, and I want to do that all the way down. Oops, this little guy right here, he's got one right here. It's in an awkward spot. And then for his back, I'm just going to go right next to his body. And then we'll add YR 24. And let's do YR23 next. And then we're going to do YR21. And then Y35. So next, let's add a shadow to his eyes, do his inside of his mouth, and then his ear and his tongue. For that, we're going to use V20, EO4, and RO2. We're going to do his shadow on his eye with V20. And I'm not going to do anything too fancy. I'm just going to go right along the edge. Add a little line. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. Try to make it a little bit skinnier down here at the bottom. And I'm going to leave it like that. Then I'm going to do EO4 for the inside of his mouth. So he's got a little bit, you see the back here. And then for his ear and his tongue, we'll use RO2. A little extra dab in the back here, and that'll darken it up a little bit so it's lighter here in the front. Let's hop down here and do the berries next. For that, we're going to use R24, RO5, and R22. We're going to start with R24. And let's start at this little bunch. There's two little bunches. So R24 right along there. And then there's a little couple right over here. Next we want to add RO5. And then R22. I'm just going to go in a little circle over the entire berry. For the leaves, we're going to use E19, R27, YR09, YR04, and Y38. We're going to start up here on this leaf up here, and we're going to do E19 first. And I'm going to do my E19 right along this bottom edge. And then I'm going to add R27. Right along that bottom edge. And I'm going to add a little bit right here at the top. And then we're going to add YR09. YR04. And then Y38. And we'll go down here and we'll do some of these down here. So again, let's grab E19. And let's see, let's start over here. Let's go this one. And then we got, this one's got some lines on it, so I called that a leaf here. And then of course this cute one here that's got poking up. Okay, how about this one right here? And since that one's one, let's do this one right next to it. Let's see. Kind of working my way across here, trying not to miss any. Let's see. Let's hop up here and do this one right here that's kind of hidden right here. And then this one right next to it. Okay, I think I got them all. If not, I guess we'll come back. So now we're going to add R27. Now let's just go ahead and start over here since I'm already over here. Got a little bit of green on that one. We'll just cover that right up with that red. All right, YR09 next. And let's give this little stem here a little bit of color. All right, now let's go with YR04. Those leaves are coming right along. Then we'll fill them in with Y38. And I like to go over all the other colors and kind of squish them all together. So this pile here, we're going to use G94, YG63, G43, and YG61. We're going to start with our G94. And I'm going to use that to just kind of go underneath some of these spots. Around this one. Then I'm going to go with YG63. I'm just going to soften the edge of that. Careful around that red. You want to touch it and pull it out in the middle of your stuff. Then we'll add G43. And then we will go over it with YG61. And then I went around the pile with C0. I'm going to start underneath this leaf and then just work my way around to the other side. And let's do this little curly Q. And be careful around this red. You don't want to drag that out here to outside. I did that on mine. So, caution. So now let's do all of these little things at the bottom of the card. For that we're going to use R39, R24, E31, and YG93. And let's start with the little mushroom stems first. So for that I'm going to use E31. And for this little one, I just took my pen and I brushed it along the side. Turn my pen a little bit here on my paper, and then I did the same thing down here, and then for this bigger one I went over this little line in the middle, and then I went over each of these lines, and then for the stem I again went down this side, and I tried to do the edge too over on this side. Like that. Whoops, got my little mushroom stuck on my finger. Put that back over here. Then for the greenery, let's do YG93. Yep, not going to show up. YG93. So let's move these little mushroom stems out of the way. For this bigger one, or for this longer one here, I just took my pen and went along the edge. All the way around. Let's skip all that. And then for this bigger fat one here, I took my pen and I just did a little flicking amount on the edge of the leaves. And then when I got to this side, I did it this way because they're kind of tipped down away from the center. And down here. And this little guy here is going to cover up most of this guy, so I didn't really worry about the bottom. You could go all the way across if you wanted. Then we got these little ferns. These I just did the center. So I just went right along. That. Same for this one. And for this cute little heart one here, let's do right along the stems of this one too. Nothing too complicated with that. Then I did the mushrooms. So for the mushrooms, I suggest that you color them before you stick them on the bottoms. Okay, let's start with this little guy down here. So I'm going to start with R39, and let's do around here. That, and then there's some little dots on the mushroom, little embossed dots on there, so I went ahead and filled those in. And let's grab this one. So same thing for this side. Let's do, I tried to make it so that there was a shadow where this little guy is going to sit. So he's going to sit like this. So I wanted the shadow to come up around the edge of this and around the bottom. Let's go with it like this. And you could set your little piece on there, and that would help you gauge where you want your little shadow to go. So let's see if we got it right. Oh, pretty close. Let's do a little bit more. Okay, that looks pretty good. Kind of cover some of that up. And then I went with my R24. Whoops, I guess I should do these dots first. Let me grab my R39 again and do the little indentations there on the mushroom. Then we'll go with R24. Like this. And I brought this up along the top here, and I just slowly brought it out a little bit further. And same for this side. That. And then for this little guy, I did the same thing. Like that. All right. Alright, so again, here's the finished card, and on my finished card, I again did my Copic multiliner over all these lines on the guy and all these leaves, and then I took my Spica clear glitter pen, and I did all the swirls, and then I went over all of the little lines down here on the leaves and up here, so they're kind of sparkly, and then the little sentiment here is popped up, and then this little small green piece is popped up, and then everything else is just layered on top of each other, and these are like the little leaves here are free at the top, so they don't go, they're not glued all the way down, so they kind of poke up. So I hope you had fun coloring with me today. If you have a question, leave me in a comment and I will make sure to get back to you. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.